Should we get started maybe? And we'll have some more people joining in maybe later on. So yes, we discussed in the first installment of that live session, the one without any screen sharing, the various new features that we've added into this beta version of Peakto, which again is going to be available very shortly for you to download and test. So this feature has this version has a strong focus on video, but we also made some changes to the other aspects. I'm going to show you a few of the new functionality. Here, for example, this is new. It's the ability for us to read video raw files that are coming from any of the Blackmagic top-end cameras. And so you can see that the content here is actually been shot on cameras that are, this is a 6K camera. This is same type of things. This is a 12K camera. So this is a new Slate info as well. That's part of the metadata. And so we have a new panel here, which lets you also create subclips and markers for those clips. So you can, I've done that in another. So here, for example, you can see some of these videos have subclips that have been created and markers. And subclip simply determine an in and an out point. So this is new. And you can use those in video bins, which is a new type of collection that we've created. So you can create new video bins from that little dialog here. And I've created one just to show you how it looks like. So here is a video bin. I'm going to close that panel on the side. This video bin contains images. It contains either entire videos, like this one is a video that goes from the beginning to the start. And this one is just a subclip of a specific video, as you can see from the yellow rectangle here. So you can really use that new construct to create an assembly of what your final movie could look like. You can reorder them, and then you can export them as timelines or bin structures, it depends. So here currently we support Final Cut Pro and DaVinci as an output format, but we are adding Premiere and others. So from here you can really start making a first version of your cut and then quickly export it to the final tool. So that's a new feature. What is new as well is things. So here I'm currently sharing on the local network. If I open this content now in the web browser, we now have the ability to also annotate the content from the panel on the side, and you have metadata information, and you can set titles, you can set some properties, you can access the map as well to see. So this is all working in the web browser, and this is currently the version where I'm sharing everything. So I'm accessing my Peakto from a remote location, for example, via the web, and we've added now this other feature that I was explaining before, is the ability to share only certain portions of your catalog with others. So for example, I could take this source, which is Capture One catalog. Let's take this one. And I have a new option here to share with a team. So I can create a shared area that contains currently only that catalog, but I can expand it later and add more catalogs or collections or smart albums, whatever. And I can share it, say, for example, with the big boss at CYME.io. So I add this person and I can set its privileges. So I can say, for example, the big boss cannot or can download but cannot annotate, cannot move things around, and validate. And now this person will receive an invitation email, and it will be able to connect to that account. And instead of seeing everything just like I'm showing here, he will only, or her will only see the Venice source. So it will only be able to see everything that is in that source and do whatever action I allowed this user to do. For example, only annotate or only view or download, whatever. So this is a first step for us to bring multi-user capabilities to Peakto, where Peakto acts as a media server that can let multiple users that are on different platforms, not only on Mac, access the content and annotate, and in the future comment on the content and download when they need that content. So that are the main features I wanted to touch upon. There are many more subtle changes in the user interface that we've introduced, and I'm not going to go too much over it, but there is one notable change, which is in the faces user interface. We now have a different way of handling faces, in that we will not only show the face groups that contain a sufficient number of people, but we also will show you smaller groups. So you can navigate through smaller groups that maybe contain only one photo, and previously these were hidden. So now you can work on these photos if these are orphaned faces, so to speak, and you can handle them. And we've implemented something that was in high demand, which is multiple selection. So you can multiple select a person and give her a name. So you can work with these people, with the things, and multiple selection has now also multiple actions that are available from some menus. So these are just essentially user experience improvements to the faces, and then there's a long list of bug fixes and things in that release. But I'm going to stop now and really open it for Q&A. Oh, okay. Arno said that the sharing pop-up is hidden, I guess, because I was only sharing the main video, I guess. Okay. Yeah, so you didn't see the sharing pop-up. Okay, a good point. Yeah, if you have any specific question, I'm happy to answer them. I think there was a question that was asked in the previous session and that we didn't answer about Capture One, but I don't remember the question. So if the owner of that question wants to put it back, we'd be happy to answer it. Or if there are any other questions about what you saw, about Peakto in general, and maybe some of the directions we're going. While we wait for questions, I just wanted to touch upon the subject of video versus photography. As I said again, there's a strong focus on video in this release, but it doesn't mean that we are not working hard to add features that are more relevant to photographers as well. And without disclosing too much about what we're doing, the next main feature that we announced sort of semi-publicly in the chats and on our desk is the ability for you to deduplicate your media. So this is the next thing that is going to come. It's probably it's on the top of the list of the features that were asked by our users, to be able to have a really good deduplication capability inside Peakto, and this is coming next. We have a long list of things that have been upvoted in the past weeks. So, right. Will there be any improvements in the image content recognition with the AI engine? Yes, there are several subjects around image content recognition. I can just briefly explain how it currently works. It's basically using a fairly general model that has a limited number of classes. And classes meaning different things that it can recognize. And roughly speaking, we can recognize about 1,500 different types of things, either objects or places like a harbor, an electrical plant. These are places, if you want. There are about 300 of them, and there are about 1,000 classes, etc. Hi, Jed. Welcome you back. So currently, this is very limited. If you, for example, a photographer that is taking pictures of birds, probably we have 20 species of birds in that list. So there are some obvious things that are going to be missed. So there's one avenue for us is to improve that by having specific models for specific types of objects or specific type of content. So again, please send us some feedback, but we've been experimenting with sort of better bird detection, better animal detection. That's one avenue where we could have some specialized models that are expert in certain fields, like birds or mammals or whatever, insects. That's an example. Then there is also, there could be experts also on landscapes and some specific spots that could be recognized. There are some models that can do that. That's one avenue where you have a very generic model that can detect many things, and the idea is to be able to find out what is on the picture and then pick the right model to find, for example, the right animal if this is what we are detecting. The other avenue is to be able to, for you to tell us what are the kind of objects that you want to detect. So that's a different, and it works for faces or it works for objects or animals or whatever. The idea is that instead of us detecting something and you name it, you name the things that you want to detect and you give us pictures of that object. It could be, for example, a face that you give us different pictures of, or it could be a specific object that you want to detect in various situations. It could be a logo, it could be these kind of things. So this is also something we'd like to work on. So there will be improvements in the image content recognition. Anthony is asking about faces in videos. So yes, currently faces are limited to images. We do detect the face in the thumbnail of the video, but that's just one frame out of the many frames that this video contains, so it's not a good detection. And we are currently well advanced into the detection of people inside videos. And there will be a dedicated user interface for that, and you'll be able to see in the same way that you see when you do a search in video, you see what are the parts of the video that are relevant to the search. You'll be able to see what are the parts of the video that contain a specific face. Regarding the plugins for Lightroom, I guess you mentioned the Peakto Search plugins for Lightroom and Capture One. There are some maintenance release that will happen over the next few weeks or months, especially because we are also changing the way we perform searches. But we haven't really decided on what are the next features that would come into those plugins. So, for example, faces is not part of the things that we have decided to currently put into the plugins, but what would be really useful is to understand a bit better what are the things that are missing in those plugins from your point of view. Jed, for example, what are the services that the plugin should give you that it doesn't give you currently? Those plugins were really designed to be small and fast search engines that work across the catalogs of a specific type. So Capture One and Lightroom currently, and I think they do their job really well because they are really fast. They don't compute a lot of things, especially they don't compute faces, they don't compute any of the aesthetics or whatever other sophisticated AI models that we use, and that's why they are fast. If we start adding more features, then we might have to give some choices on what are the models that you want to activate in order to not to lose those performances. So yeah, having some feedback on what is expected from what are the main features that you'd like to see in those models, that would be nice. How long does it take to import bureau files within Peakto? It depends a little bit on, first of all, on your computer, because it's heavily using the GPU, and it depends also on the resolution of those files. As you can see, there are some 6K, 11K, even 17K files that are now available, and I don't have some good benchmarks on top of my head, but we will publish some better benchmarks, because it's been asked from us to know also how much space is needed for those files. What I can show you if I go to this Blackmagic Raw, you can still see my screen, I guess. If I take one of these big files here, for example, this one, you probably don't see it, but I'm actually revealing the thumbnail of that file. This file, it weighs a few gigabytes, and here the whole thumbnails of that file, including the proxy file that we create, are less than 1.5 megabytes. So that's a question that was asked also yesterday, for example, is how much space is needed for those bureau files. So you can have a factor of 1,000 in terms of reduction of size. So you can carry this small preview with you while the file is offline, and it will just take 1 megabyte to carry a preview of a file that weighs probably 3 or 5 gigabytes inside. So it's a very good compression, and so having Peakto as an archiving or as a proxy to those big files is actually really helpful. But we'll publish some benchmarks in terms of timing. Are there any other questions regarding some of these features? Or maybe what are the, if there are any features that are really on your very high on your wish list and that haven't been mentioned, would be nice also to have some feedback on that. Yeah, search history is a very good point. It's on our list. We know it would be great to have it. I can show you one thing that was previously very cumbersome and that has been fixed is if you look for something and you validate. So I'm looking for waterfalls, and actually there are some waterfalls here. This is why this video is showing up first. Previously, if you wanted to edit, you could not do it. Now you can click on the waterfall and you can continue to type some text. So editing is now possible, but having a history of the search is definitely going to come. Any other questions we should cover? Yeah, so that's the example, the thing you mentioned about being able to control a little bit more what happens in the search. There are definitely a number of things that we need to improve. I wasn't expecting so much in the kind of the content search, but for example, when you do keyword search, or when you search for things and you have several items that you search for, it's currently very difficult to do a keyword search that can control whether you want an or an and between the keywords. Currently, when you have two items of them, let's take an example. If I do green and violet, it's going to do an or between those two values. In that case, an and would be possible as well, but currently you can't control. So it's or, you will see either this or this one. But if I want to control that, we need to improve the user interface here to let you choose the kind of operation you want to do. And again, we know we have to do it. It's not there. Yes, you can use smart albums to do these kind of things, but if you want to be really quick and don't want to go through a smart album, really you would like to be able to test a search query without having to create a smart album, and currently you can't. So we know the limitation. Will you be able to edit directly into C1 without importing the file? I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you elaborate on that? You mean you start from a file that is just in a folder and you want to edit it into C1? Or a file that is already in C1, because I guess it would make sense. But yeah, if you can clarify a little bit your question, Jed, that would be nice. Yeah. When I try to open a file in C1 from Peakto, it's ASCII. Yeah, if the file is not a C1 file, then you cannot work in C1 with it without importing it. So I guess if I'm looking at a file here and I say edit in C1, open with Capture One, because it's in a catalog, it's just going to launch Capture One on that file. If on the other hand, I'm looking at any file here and I say open in and I say Capture One, if I can do that, it will not be part of a Capture One. Actually, I don't even have Capture One here, but probably. I don't know if that's the scenario you're looking at, but currently you cannot edit in Capture One something that is not living in a Capture One catalog without importing it into that catalog. This is also the way Capture One works. It has to be in a catalog in order to be editable. Okay, what if it's already in a Capture One file? I try to edit. Okay, this is not the expected behavior when a file is in Capture One and you hit the edit button. It's going to open in Capture One. You have to click on the Open with Capture One button, like I did. It's going to open it in Capture One. So if you don't have this experience, then we need to talk and understand what's happening in your case. But that's definitely the way it works. And if you let me just do it again. So you have to choose Open in Capture One here, this command here, or hit the Command E button. So it's going to open. Let's close that one. Open Capture One. So it's going to launch the right catalog. Open here. If I want then to edit this one, and the catalog is still open, it's going to move to the right picture. So that is the current behavior. You should have that behavior. If not, please talk to us. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Please contact. We can have a session and understand what's. Are there any other questions that we should cover? Any other things that would make Peakto more useful in your current workflows? If not, I think is a limit on how many images an app can manage. All right, it's a good question. There is no limit, but there is currently a practical limit, and we are trying very hard to push that limit as high as possible. So really our goal is to be able to handle several million images. That's really our goal. Of course, you need a decent machine to do that. We are talking about Apple Silicon machines, but you don't have to have an M4 to handle this kind of volume. We want to be able to handle it in machines that have a decent M1, say, plus enough memory. It should work. Currently, practically, I think probably the limit is around 500,000. You can ingest more than 500,000, but above that limit, there are a certain number of things that take up much more time, and it becomes harder to use. So we have some customers with above 1 million images, and they use Peakto. Okay, we have some customers that have 3 million images, and clearly it doesn't work well enough with 3 million images. We know where the bottlenecks are. And we've started some really groundwork to remove those bottlenecks and to make sure that the app launches quickly and then that it behaves in a good manner when you have 3 million images. And especially if you're looking at just certain collections at a time, it really shouldn't matter whether you have 3 million or whether you have 500,000. If you go into all sources and you run a search on that, it's going to take some time, but our work is then to make that time as short as possible and make also the user experience as good as possible when you have this kind of volume, so that the interface doesn't look frozen and these kind of things. But it will take time for a search to return, a content search, for example, to return when you have that many images. So the search in content will handle several million images, definitely. And currently, Currently, it doesn't clearly, but we are getting there. How many images do you have currently in your catalog? And is it already a problem for you? Okay, yeah, 33K is a really small catalog with in this respect. So you should, I mean, you should not see, yeah, M2 Mac Mini. You should not see any issue with search. It should not really be any issue. The catalog I was showing you before is a small catalog, and it has 24,000 images plus videos. So the videos, they count as many images as we have frames, or more or less. So really it's like having probably 30 or 40,000 images in that simple demo. And you see the demo is, I mean, the catalog is behaving fast on an M1 machine, so shouldn't have any issue. Okay, so we are slightly over time, taking into account the small hiccup we had with sound. If there are no other questions, maybe we should close this session. And I don't remember what's the sort of periodicity that we want to have on this, once a month, or? Okay, so yeah, the idea is to have to be able to touch base about once a month. And please use this space if you really want to talk to us and to interact. That would be great to have some feedback like that. And we really want to show you how much progress we make from 1 month to the next. So we can't wait to show you the next iteration of that. Thanks a lot for being here tonight, and we wish you a lovely end of the day, and see you next month. Bye bye. Bye bye.